Good to be back and here with you. And all those things, all those days, all those years, all those homes, right? Just trying to see where to start. I just like to say thank you to my mother, Dorothy, my father, Robert, my grandparents, Sammy and Versi, Maddie and Jethro. Also like to just say I do have a copy of Flight if you're interested in knowing more about it. Thank you to the New York Foundation for Arts. Thank you to the Center for Book Arts. Thank you to Cave Canem. Thank you to Tribes Magazine. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the United States of Artists. Thank you to the Puffin Foundation. Thank you. Thank you to Roxanne Hoffman. My new chapbook is coming out in a few weeks. Thank you. Thank you to all my friends and supporters and people who have gone through it with me over the years. Thank you. The title of this manuscript is called Under Fire. Praise to Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. Oh, Douglass and Tubman. This morning I felt the bullwhip and chains when I opened my cell phone. Usually I don't open up to the world until my mind is made up. Until I have a well made up mind. The time was not then. I should have followed protocol. But I failed, Douglas. I failed, Tubman. I fell into the truth when I woke up to spirit. The spirit that only comes from the background and holy dirt ditches of the South. For I am a child of earth, birth from the back of a black hip. Born from Georgia and Florida and Southern Carolinas, from the tiny rays of lights that come back to me when I'm lonely or hungry or facile or phony. And this is not a way you were raised, grazed from the cypress swamp of James Weldon Johnson. I'm raised from peanut shells and folk tales of Zora and her world. Her world is my world. Her story is my story, carried over from generation to generation. Taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that quilt and fat back and salt pork and all the sunshine money. All of that. All of the black honey and the spirit evokes when I go river deep. And I'm steeped in blackness, that kind that stands on the shoulders of Douglass and Tubman and Truth. And when they ran out of Maryland, when their turn for the freedom, they had to wait for the battle axe. They had to wait for the underground and drinking gourds. They could read it in the stars when the time was crucial. They did not have a cell phone to Google. So it was buried in their hearts and their minds and their souls. They knew what they were told, and this could be the last time. This is my only chance for liberation. I'm reading out of my journal, so you have to give me a chance. I just, Under Fire. The name of this manuscript is Under Fire. I'm working on it. Under Fire. On Wednesday, I went to a garden called La Finca, a place where you are greeted by sunflower, where urban women raise plots of cucumber and radishes, compote heaps full of earthworms. And beyond all of this, the quiet are the dark shoulders of trees, and there I am most intimate to the personality of nature, be it annual or periodic or impatience. And if I could be as iridescent as a blue iris or as wily as the wisteria, so I sit here until the mist erases the humidity. I sit here. Remedies to a mutilated world, a world that uses food as politic, that chooses to cheapen what we consume for plastic or styrofoam. And if the money is not there, we must conform. So I sit here in my dirty laundry, under fire, beneath a gyre of trash and train and ambulance and noise and causeway, because my mind can be so crowded, a diorama of negative. But I use the athletic river as a sedative. I use the infinite mighty Hudson to run through my veins. So blame the blue jay that cries out hallelujah, that muses in the morning before the storm, before the thickened humidity chokes me with toxins. The heat rocks me to sleep, but I am contorted by the bloom of the bluebell, the wail of the weeping willow, but there is respite and retreat in spite my rote humanity. Irrespective, my body conquers earth, and sometimes we do not include but exclude the otherness. So I rather squat here. But the black-eyed pea Susan says, wait, I'm here. I'm yellow. I came from seed. I came from sunshine, from rain, from this framework, from dust and ash and clay in May, June. And I'm just as false as August. That's that dreary scaffold sold for $1 million. But there are calla lilies and okra. They are all choking me in this vine. Not some, but all of them. It can be so natural. I'd rather be academic or credential, not to mention the holy throat of the super doves that roost, so I choose flight. Yeah. Under fire. June 1st. It's Monday and a new month, and something that I would not consider a celebration, would not consider an obligation to write down. But it's June, and soon the heat will rise, and I'm reminded of summer, then fall, the call I need to make. But for my new is just a moment of hope, just another keepsake. June 1st, I can unearth some ground, my writing trowel to disavow the negativity, and something needs to change. So blame is not my recourse, but use the force of the moment to make a decision. Make an impression of time this time of year. And yes, it can be safe, but it's too loose for safety. Now is not the time for safety, but to erase the injustice. Time is punitive. It's a new month, the 1st of June, and the earth is in transition. And sometime I need a mission statement. So I sit back and allow situations and circumstances to open up the wounds of night when I'm lonely, in my secret self, in all my struggles to be fair, the near margin into the interior, the blistering fact that something needs to change, even if I rearrange my pillow. There is no more tissue to hide itself. I must stand. It's June 1st. And then it will be some kind of disorder in our thinking. The wrinkling of the month is that. It will not be alone, but then something else will come up. Another worry, another overture, bolded by disintegration. But this Juneteenth, the link between freedom and enslavement, just because you don't know it, not necessarily mean you're a participant. Then listen to the outside. Listen to day 2 and day 3 and all the preliminaries before August, before Reconstruction. Before the scaffold are like buzzsaws. It's June 1st. And I've written about months before, not similar to this kind of taunt. My fingers are numb. I want to do something else, like put my mind back on the bookshelf. Thank you. I have 2 more. Under fire. Quarantine. I think it's time I acknowledge you. In between my writing desks, the pest to dictate and notate the colors of my composition journals. Quarantine may be a little crotchety. I pulled out all those toiletries and sundries and found a dollar bill tucked in a coat from last winter. Quarantine. It hasn't been bitter. but more of a muted glaze, and Grandma delivered castor oil and tore through December quarantine. I have peace between my walls, so I stall myself. I protect all these selves fallen and unhinged. The revenge to be lonely, only you quarantine. Could be a Bridget or an Elaine or Eleanor before a closed door, another closet. I mop you up quarantine like a sop of water. I'm bogged by my faucet. Taken from the pantry, the marked pasta and penne, jars of you quarantine. Bisque at risk quarantine. I need the time alone. I'll do one more thing. Winter under fire. My coat is hanging in the same place it did last year, only to remain in this Christmas and summer. The flower blooms in Brooklyn Botanical, and I have no reason to doubt you. But when I say the nights are arthritic and there is no pain relief, I say this because this is yearly. Like last year, back from a Florida migration, it reminded me of the Arctic. It reminded me of orange popsicles in Grandma's deep freezer where she would store lamb shanks and then thaw beneath a running faucet. And if you want to hold back the friction between us, it will be icy. It is a cover-up and dormancy until the truth, but you have always been ruthless. A surprise attack. I have to assume and consume your cold, your spew out of anger with your blocks in these passages, your blasphemous intent bent on this season. I know your past, the violent tendencies, your hidden ability to storm my window. This is the time of 1 million lights along Dyker Avenue. They celebrate your presence, but I'd rather wait until spring to regenerate. And there are only closets here, only mothballs and mufflers. They are here waiting like I for a visit. Thank you so much. Yes, I heard you. One more. One more. Okay.
I didn't do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I know my brother. Okay. I want to go to Nostrand Avenue. I want to go to Nostrand Avenue where the trees will breathe, not the opening of some pit by the city, but where the long roots would come to terms with each gentrified step like the petrified wood of the oak. I'm coming back to the voices of Baraka and Baldwin and Schatz and Monk, but it's Coltrane taking me down. Under Mason-Dixon, taking me down like Grandma's trees of a Florida swamp. I want to go to Nostrand Avenue. I want to go to Nostrand Avenue because the night can be so tortured as I stand on stage with Duke and Lena and the stormy weather. My stomach is a lead belly and there's something southern in me, something northern to see. I have to forgive the wanderlust. I want to go to Nostrand Avenue. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Great Weather for Media.
Let's do it for Robert Gibbons.
Thank you. I do have some copies of Flight if you're interested. Thank you.